What's your spirit nut?
Next question. Kath, what are your goals for 2018? What's your goals? And my goals.
If she's talking in the YouTube channel sort of sense, at the end of 2018, I want 2,000 subs. At the end of 2018, in my normal goals would be for this year would be getting into uni and finishing my first year and going on my first placements.
I think for me, obviously, it would be pass my maths, as you guys know. Been talking about it for a while. Get into university. Obviously, I will be leaving my job, so that's going to be quite emotional. So I want to learn as much as I can now who I want to be, because obviously 3 years' time, I'm going to look back and think, wow. And I think just spending as much time I can with the family and my friends until we go to uni, which is going to be a massive goal since I was like this tall. So,
are you scared of getting any sort of abuse while working in the ambulance service?
No, I'm not really afraid of that because I get it now, really. Working at a care home, who said that? Who was it that said that?
Mr. Elsewhere, sorry.
Mr. Elsewhere. When you work, say, in a care home or in a challenging people with, like, what's the word? A cognitive problem or something like that, you are on the brunt line of it. It's not their fault. They don't understand, but it does sometimes happen. It's not something to be scared of. It's just something you have to keep in your mind. I mean, you have to explain it to them more because they could lash out. Working on the ambulances is different. Obviously, you got people with dealing with alcohol. I don't think you should be scared of it. I think you just should be understanding because there's always a reason why they're an alcoholic or something like that. There's always a backstory, and they wouldn't intentionally hit you unless some people would. But not all the people. There's always got to be a story. So I wouldn't say I'm afraid now.
Since I'm not afraid, I'm nervous a bit because obviously we are the brunt of most stuff. I mean, there's just been legislation passed where if you assault a paramedic, it can hold as much like legal weight as assaulting a police officer. I'm not like scared necessarily from, let's say, someone who's drunk, someone who's drugged. More so, I'm worried, or I have thought about, as a paramedic, you're in uniform. Yeah. You can be a target.
You are a target for most things. Yeah.
Yeah, for people who have extremist views, and you do become a target. That's what's in my mind. Not necessarily scared about it. It's just always in your mind. Once you're in that uniform, you do become a target. Oliver Howells.
Yeah, he does YouTube. Shout out to.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
I think we answered that before, didn't we? Well,
that's kind of like the ethnicity type.
Yeah. I said about I want to go to America. That's big, somewhere I want to go. But yeah, I don't know, because now, I wouldn't... It changes for me. I mean, if I could choose somewhere, I'd go somewhere much better. I think America. America, definitely. America.
I want to go America. Due to the fact that just right now, it isn't necessarily the best place to be. I mean, its economy might be absolutely booming.
No, it's just always been a dream of mine to go to America.
It's just I'd visit there. It'd be really nice to visit there. Obviously, mine's the same answer as before, visiting France, going to Belgium, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The next one is from Sophie. Hello, Sophie. What inspired you to do first aid and become a paramedic?
Inspired me to do first aid... well, it's always been my dream to be a paramedic, as you guys know. So, no one really inspired me to do it. It was just my career choice sort of thing. I think I've always wanted to do it. Obviously, I mentioned about when my stepdad committed suicide as well. A bit dark, but it's always been in my mind to do that sort of thing. And I think when I was younger, I always wanted to know, like, if something happened, I wanted to know what to do. If Jacob started choking now, I would want to trust in myself to clear his airway. And I think it's just that sort of stuff that I want to know what to do in a situation.
What inspired me to become paramedic and do first aid and stuff? First aid, obviously, Carl first introduced me to St. John. So I could say Kyle was the inspiration to do St. John, to go there, because he told me about it. To become a paramedic, I was inspired by my old college tutor. When I was younger, so time to the next end of question. When I was younger, I always wanted to become a police officer. But you look at me now, Like, not
No.
I'm skinny.
I mean, look,
Ow.
if a police officer, if you did that to a police officer, you would know about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Jason
see
would tell
me
you.
busting down a door. You'd see my twin brother busting down the door, but not me. My college tutor, basically, the way he explained it, the way he talked about being a paramedic, like, he was a paramedic for going on 10 years. He didn't just explain it, he lived it.
Yeah.
You could see he was there in that moment in time, and that's why I wanted to do it. He didn't like say the nice parts being a paramedic. He said the dark times and the really bad times and the shit times being a paramedic. That's why I liked it.
I think as well though, some people sugarcoat it sort of thing, like, oh, it's a really nice career to go through. Yeah, it's an amazing career to go through. I mean, you see amazing things, but you also get affected by it. And how Paul lad tutor come across, I should never really mention his name, but never mind. He was, when he was speaking about these stories, you could literally see him zone out, and you could literally think, like, see it in his head, like, functioning, like he's been through it all. And I think that really inspired me as well, because he's not sort of saying, oh, it's a really nice career. He's sort of saying it how it is and what he's seen on the front line.
Next one is from Shez.
Says.
Shez. Sorry.
Shez.
Says.
Are you joking?
What's the hardest task you have done during work and studies?
Hardest task. To be honest, the hardest task we did was I would say the Brecon Beacons. We went to the Brecon Beacons. That was quite hard.
Yeah.
When we did public services, we went on like a team building exercise to the Brecon.
Walk, weren't it?
Yeah, to the Brecon Beacons, and we had to like land navigate
Wales.
in Wales. We had to land navigate through these mountains, and it snowed really bad, like a big blizzard. That was quite hard.
It was mentally hard. It weren't weren't necessarily mentally hard. It was also physically
and
hard.
mentally.
Yeah. We had to trust one another, but to be honest with you, we got through it quite well.
Yeah, we did.
We
had to all take
little
times.
pick-me-ups. People had made jokes. Obviously, we had times where it was a bit down, but we just brought was back up again. And I think that's great.
I think as well, when I started at the care home for the first time, obviously I've never worked in care before. I've never been in a hospital or anything like that. And I stepped into this care home, and obviously they've got dementia. I've never seen anyone with dementia before then. And I think that was quite hard because I've never seen how dementia affects someone. Obviously now I'm looking back thinking how lucky I am to work there. But before I was thinking, wow, like, I found it interesting, but obviously it was really hard to get used to.
Back when I was doing health and social care my first year, it was one of my first placements. I come home from my break and my mum got a call, it was a frantic call from my grandma, and she said, help me, come over. So I ran over there, first one on scene. I pretty much ran into the door, and first in my sight was blood everywhere, and just her standing in the middle of the kitchen having a cigarette. I was thinking, why is she having a cigarette for? But yeah, that was a really hard situation for me because I had all my training coming into my head, and also the lack of training that I had coming into my head as well.
Yeah.
And that's also what inspired me to expand on my training as well.
I think, hang on, so another thing as well, when you said about, was it the hardest situation, was it? I think not the hardest task, but for me it's about like growing up, because when I was younger we used to go around my grandma's and my granddad's, we used to have dinner, and my granddad's quite a proud guy, and he would never let anyone, clean him up, or he's quite proud. And I think the hardest thing about me, I've noticed maturing up as I am, is you do see more stuff when you get older. I mean, when you're younger, you get your nappy changed by your mum. As you grow older, you start caring for other people more. Yeah. You start learning about people. And now, like the other day, I changed my granddad, which is quite good.
Yeah. So I seen her standing there, and it was quite hard for me. But I had to think on the spot. And she's alive, by the way. She managed through it, but
die.
She lost, I think, 2 pints of blood in the house and half a pint in the hospital. And the last thing I remember. I remember everything, but the last detail I remember was in the hospital, and they had her arm up like a sling, and they took the sling off, and all you hear was and it was like a ball of clotted blood just went on the floor and splattered everywhere. Then as the door closed, all I seen was all the doctors gather around her, and a squirt of blood just go. And do you ever get scared during first aid?
I think with first aid, practice makes perfect. I think that you have to get dropped in the deep end before you can master it. I haven't mastered it yet because I've only been out on one duty. Obviously, so it is quite scary. It is dealing with it. But obviously, when you get more training, when we are in university training to be a paramedic, it will come natural. I mean, like putting an arm in a sling, it will just literally be straight away. You know how to do it. So it is scary now, yeah. But I think ask me this in 2 years' time, I'd probably have a different answer. I think.
The situation I just talked about, that was quite scary. It being my grandma, when I walked in, think about it now, when I walked in seeing her, she wasn't my grandma anymore. She was someone who needed help. Yeah.
Hang on.
We're on one of the last ones anyway.
That's my family.
Lucy, what was your dream job when you was younger?
Well, I think Jacob's mentioned that before, didn't he? You said about...
Yeah, well, when I was really young, it was a train driver, then then police officer, then arms response, then paramedic.
Mine's always been obviously working the ambulance service since I can remember. I mean, I don't know what I was before. When I was in like year 1, 2, I used to draw pictures of an ambulance, and I said I always wanted to do it. And yeah, when I left school, before I left school, people said, "What you want to do?" I said paramedic. Everyone laughed, so I'm just out there to prove them wrong, really.
Lodge guys, I see you guys quite a lot on YouTube. Shout out to your channel. You seem quite cool.
They're cool. They're really cool.
Why do you study a lot of maths to be a paramedic?
That's probably me. Basically, to get into university, we've been set a conditions. Jacob's already passed his maths, so he doesn't have to do that. But we're both doing English. Jacob's already passed his English.
Yeah, the thing is, skills. With my English, I've got level 2 English, but the uni that I want to go to, I'm not having any spoilers here. The uni we want to go to doesn't accept level 2 English, even though it says on their website they do, but they don't accept level 2 English.
So yeah, that's why I'm doing maths, because I need to meet the conditions they offer. You need to have a functional skills maths level 2, but you need a GCSE English.
Who knows? Anyway. Last one. Who inspired you the most in your lives? From Claire.
I think Ed Sheeran, for one. I like his songs. I can relate to most of his songs. I can. The lyrics. Myself, I like to push myself to extents. And also, people that are more experienced than me, I like to look at what they've done and I learn from it. So, like, say if Jacob was more experienced, he was telling me about his situations, I would learn from that, and that's something I'd look up to and inspire from. I inspire to a lot of people, and I think that's a big asset you need to have. Look up to people. Don't think, oh my god, they're more qualified than me. Look at what they've got and learn from everyone in your life.
Big sort of competitive.
Yeah.
The people who inspired me is kind of the same, really. Ed Sheeran, not because of him now, because he's big and famous. From when he was younger.
Yeah, because we followed him for a long, long time.
He's developed himself from obviously what he was to what he is now. He's learned. He's said, I have made these mistakes, but he's made himself better from them. My old college tutor, he inspired me a lot to become a paramedic. The situation which happened with my grandma and my family, they inspire me a lot. Also, being competitive inspires me quite a lot. Like, we're quite competitive.
Yeah.
We always striving to like kind of match each other, and that inspires me because I want to match and develop and not necessarily be better, but
no, I want to do it. I'm gonna be better than you.
But develop. And yeah.
Oh no.
Okay.
That wrap up for today's video.
Yeah. Thank you anyway again for 500 subscribers.
Halfway there to 1,000.
We want to hit 1,000 by May.
Start of June.
May.
But that's in between.
See, this is what we're doing now. We're being competitive again. May.
Yeah. May towards the end of May, start of June, because it's between my birthday and his birthday. So yeah.
My family
dying up
has just been murdered, so we're gonna cut it off there.
Thank you for your view, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. And yeah, see you in a bit. Bye.